Hi guys, just finished watching the Rugby World Cup final. Final score South Africa 32, England 12. Fully deserved win, South Africa. Based on that performance, you outplayed England, you outthought England, you outmuscled England, and it was just a really solid and brilliant performance. Saved the best to last in the final. The first team to lose their opening pool game and go on to win the World Cup final. And also for Siya Kolisi, the first black captain of a Rugby World Cup team, not just of South Africa, to win a Rugby World Cup. I hate to go into identity politics, but I just wanted to say that. So well done to him and well done to South Africa. And South Africa continue the omen of winning the World Cup every 12 years, 1995, 2007, and 2019 now. So all I can say on behalf of them, roll on 2031. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the game. The first half, a big turning point for England was definitely Kyle Sinclair going off as he did after getting knocked out. Obviously, it was the right thing to take him off after what happened, but it was his replacement, Dan Cole, that got mullered in the scrums. Even though there was one scrum penalty that Garcia's got wrong when Malcolm Marks came up in the scrum first before Dan Cole actually did anything, and that should have been a penalty to England and not South Africa. But generally, refs favour the team that are in the ascendancy with the scrums, which are normally where you can count the calls going against you. And Dan Cole didn't help himself at all in that first half with how he was turning in constantly at the scrums, which put England on the back foot and allowed South Africa in the end to have a 12-6 lead at half-time. Even though South Africa were somewhat fortunate to not have a man in the bin after they committed a cynical offence in the red zone between the 5 metre and their own goal line, which in the end led to England's penalty that made it 12-6, but made it 6-all, pardon me. But they got away with that one in terms of getting a man in the bin, and they just conceded the penalty 3 points. The second half, again, South Africa just kept it going. They kept putting the pressure on up front. They made changes early on with the front row replacements, brought on Stephen Kitchenoff and Vincent Koch, which is slightly surprising to me, but they had a great effect on that first scrum, didn't they? Both of them overpowered the England front row, and Mako was penalised for not binding properly after he was driven backwards, and South Africa extended their lead to 15-6. England got it back. They started to get back into the game a bit more. Got it back to, eventually it was 18-12, and then after that South Africa started to turn it on. They started to turn the screw. They were on top of the game. All the momentum was with them, and then they got the try from Mapimpi on the wing. It was a great passing out wide. Mapimpi kicked it over the cross. Am got the ball, passed it back to Mapimpi, who went over and scored. I thought that second pass to him, which was checked by the TMO, was a little bit dubious. It did look marginal, but it wasn't clear and obvious forward pass. I would have thought the TMO would have checked the side angle if they had one to see if it was definitely in line, but not clear and obvious. And if it's not a clear and obvious forward pass, then the referee has to stick with his on-field decision, and that's what they did. So fair try overall. And then later, on a South African counter-attack, Cheslin Colby just showed his magic. What great footwork by him, just stepped in and around the England defence, all over it, and scored the try to seal South Africa's win by 32 points to 12. Some outstanding performances from South Africa today. Up front, the whole pack were magnificent. Particular mentions to Pieter Steph du Toit and Duan Vermeulen. Duan Vermeulen definitely deserved man of the match. He had an outstanding game, was all over every single breakdown, and he was just tackling and carrying like a man possessed. He was absolutely outstanding today. Du Toit as well, continuing to tackle like the big cement truck he is, and the front row, both front rows that played, just were absolutely all over England everywhere. England, on the other hand, compared to the game against New Zealand, they looked nervous, they looked edgy, and they got sucked into that game South Africa loved to play, where they just wear you down up front, and it played against them. And like I said, Kyle Sinclair going off early, I think, played a factor in that, as it seemed to derail England a bit mentally, but they were never able to get back into the game, really, once South Africa got the stranglehold on them up front, and in the scrums in particular. South Africa's scrum was just all over England for the majority of the game, And even though England did have a couple of moments and phases where they were putting things together, South Africa's defence withstood them, and their accuracy in their basics as well, which happens often when you're nervous, was not great from England for a lot of the game. Knock-ons in their own half. George Ford kicking out on the full, not having enough supporting players on a few occasions as well when players made carries, and of course South Africa's defence. It was very difficult for them, and I think this England team enjoyed going into the New Zealand game as the underdogs because they came out the blocks quickly and played very well. Whereas against South Africa today, they were touted as the favourites. And once again, I get my predictions wrong, don't I? But anyway, and like I said, they don't seem to respond as well when they're the favourites going into games, and that proved so today. Even though on the whole tournament, England, I think, can be proud, considering where they were in 2015, where they were knocked out the group stages. The way they've come on under Eddie Jones has been leaps and bounds, and they just fell short at the final hurdle. South Africa, on the other hand, very well done, deserved world champions based on this performance, and throughout the whole tournament, actually, even though the brand of rugby's not been great, it's been solid enough to get South Africa through to wear opponents down, and they did the business when it mattered. So, 2019 World Champions, South Africa, congratulations to them, and from their point of view, looking back, Rassie Erasmus has done an amazing job with them, absolutely amazing, considering where they were when he took over after the shit show under Alistair Coetzee for 2 years. He came in, he got them back to playing a simple brand of rugby that is the brand of rugby South Africa are renowned for playing. He got them back to basics, back to playing very well, being ultra competitive, having a very solid, strong pack, a solid defence, and it's worked wonders for them. They got their rewards in this World Cup, and they did the job also in the Rugby Championship earlier this year. But obviously the World Cup, the bigger thing, so congratulations to them there. Is he staying on as coach? I don't think he is. He said he's stepping down. So we'll see what happens there, if they can get a good replacement for him. Well done to, obviously, Siya Kolisi. Like I said, first black player to lift the World Cup and first black South African to win a World Cup. And given South Africa's history, that's a big thing. So well done there. And that's all I've really got to say, guys. I know I'm rambling a bit, but I have a habit of doing that sometimes. So again, just well done to South Africa. Thank you for all the views and the likes, comments, etc. throughout the tournament. It's been a pretty cracking World Cup. I think the 1995 and 2015 World Cups were a bit better than this one, but this one has been a pretty good tournament on the whole as well. Well done to Japan for being great hosts, and really enjoyed it. I might have a couple of videos just reflecting on the World Cup as a whole coming up later in the week. It depends if I get the time, really. But thank you again for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the tournament, enjoyed my videos. Have a great day, and I'll catch you later on.